Okay, good morning, Team Impact. If you're checking out the video today, we're gonna be rolling on with. Sorry about that. The computer's going acting up here. We're gonna be rolling on with some ratio application. We warmed up with a nice ratio sheet and multiplication facts. If you were here Friday, I gave you a little pop quiz over some fractions and some conversions. So we're full steam ahead. Don't forget about Khan Academy is due this Friday. The first 9 weeks is over. Excuse me, this Friday. So you have a long weekend coming off because we have a Records Day on Monday, October 30th. So just some tidbits to chat about. Anyway, let's get started. All right. So as you apply ratios to solve real world situations, consider asking yourself the following questions to guide you, to help you, and make sure. All right. What is being compared? All right. What information am I given? These are just general questions that will help you. All right. And does your solution make sense in the context of the problem? Okay. So let's get started. Jenna and Becca were both selling cookies door to door. Jenna sold 4 boxes of cookies for every 3 boxes Becca sold. So Jenna sold 4, Becca 3. They combined, they sold 35 boxes. How many boxes did each girl sell? Okay, so what I know that Jenna, Jenna sold 4 boxes and Becca sold 3. So what I would like to do is that. I like to label it. Okay. And they sold a total of 35. And I need to know, all right, the number of boxes each sold. So my plan is this, all right? My plan is this. I would say 4 to 3, and I know it's labeled up here, so I'm not going to do it. So at 4 to 3, that's a total of 7 boxes. I don't want 7, I want 35. So what I'm going to do is scale it up by a factor of 5. So to do that, I'm going to multiply this by 5 and this by 5. And that's going to be 20 over 15. So the solution is Jenna sold 20 and Becca sold 15. All right. And those are boxes of cookies. All right. So I like to do it that way and scale it up. But again, I got this 7 by adding the ratio together, the numerator and the denominator. I knew I had to get to 35 because that was in the problem. I scaled it up and got my answers from there. All right. Latrina is planning to serve hors d'oeuvres at her wedding. She plans on offering 8 hors d'oeuvres for every 3 people. Right? 8 hors d'oeuvres for every 3 people. 8 to 3. If she has 240 people, then how many hors d'oeuvres will she serve? Set up a proportion. That's a good word right there. It's a good term. So what we have when we set up a proportion is 2 equivalent ratios. But let's go ahead and write down what we know. We know that we have 8 to 3, and we're going to have 240 people, right? 8 to 3. So I need to know how many hors d'oeuvres, right? Hors d'oeuvres. I can't spell that. All right. DOEUVRES. Ooh, that's a tough one for me. Okay. So what am I going to do? So if I have 8 to 3 and I want to set up a proportion, that means this side is going to be equal to this side. Well, the people's on the bottom. I want 240 over the x. What number times 3 is 240? So, there's a couple different ways to do it. I'm just going to do it straight with the calculator. Okay, and I'm going to take 240 and I'm going to divide it by 3 and I end up with 80. So that means 3 times 80 is that. 8 times 80 is 640. 640 hors d'oeuvres. Okay. So I just scaled it up by a factor of 80, right? Good stuff so far. Let's continue to rock and roll with number 3. Number 3 reads, the ratio of accessible parking spots to general parking spots is 2 to 75. 2 to 75. If a parking lot is designed to hold 385, all right, parking spots, then how many general spots then accessible for parking will there be? Okay, so what do we know? We know that we have 2 accessible, all right, for 75 general. That's what we know so far. Okay. All right. And what I need to know, all right, what I need to know is how many more parking spaces for general parking? So how many more? How many more general parking? Just talking it through. We're not going to do this every time, but it is good to set up what you're looking for. Okay. So interesting, is it not? My plan here. My ratio is of accessible parking to general is 2 to 75. All right. If a parking lot holds 385 people, all right, then how many generals will I need? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get this set up here. What I need to know is, all right, how many more generals will I need? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two numbers and I'm going to add them together. And I'm going to end up with 77. That's my total spots. Would you agree? Yeah. All right. And that's accessible parking, handicap, and general. All right. Now, I'm going to put that 2 over it. Why? Because how many more general parking spots than accessible parking spots will there be? Okay. So this is my accessible. This is my total. And I'll write it over here and maybe get it out of that side. Makes a little more sense, doesn't it? All right. So I need to scale it up to 385 because there's going to be, if a parking lot is designed to hold 385, then how many accessibles do I need? So how did I get from here to there? All right, and we're going to take 385, and we're going to divide it by 77, and we're going to get 5. So that means 77 times 5 is that. 2 times 5 is 10. So if you have 385 total parking spots in a parking lot, you need to have 10, all right? You need to have 10, all right, that are accessible. Now, all right, we need to continue on here, all right? So, excuse me. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose. Anyway, so we need 10 that's accessible, right? But, all right, there'll be 10 that are accessible. How many more generals do you need? Well, if you have 385 total, and you subtract 10 from it, you get 365. So there'll be 365 more spaces. More spaces. Okay. Number 4, Joel and Rhonda were comparing their classroom economy bank books, bank accounts. The sum of their bank accounts was $160. Circle that. The ratio of Joe's account balance to Rhonda's account balance was 4 to 1. So it was 4 to 1, Joel to Rhonda. Okay. How much money does each student have in their account? All right. So what we know is that right now their total is 5 if the fact is 4 to 1. But here's the deal, all right? Combined, all right, they have $160. Oops, 160, Mike. And what I need to know is how much money does each student have? Okay. So my plan of work is simple. At 4 to 5, I know I have at 4 to 5. At 4 to 1, At 4 to 1, I have a total of 5, right? I don't want $5. I want what? $160. So we're going to scale it up. 5 times what is 160? Let's see. If we take 160 and divide it by 5, we get 32. So 5 times 32. So if I want to scale this up to a total, the total money of $160, I'm going to multiply both of those by 160. 1 times, by 32 is 32. And 4 times 32 is 128, right? So Joel would have $128, and Rhonda would have $32. Okay, so these can get confusing a little bit. Let's take a look at number 5. A food distributor ships 8 cases of regular soda for every 5 cases of diet. So 8 of regular to what? 5, to 3 of diet. 3 of diet. All right. 8 regular, 3 diet. Mrs. Lockett asked students to find a number that could represent the number of cases of diet soda, all right, the food distributor could ship. Which students complete the task correctly? Okay. So let's see here. How can we get to this? All right. What we're going to do is figure out our total cases. So 8 and 3 is 12. That's our total. All right. So which one of these numbers, all right, does 12 go into evenly? That's what it's really asking you, right? Or how could I scale it up evenly, right? Which student completes the task correctly? Okay, so I had to pause there a minute and take a look at this problem. Anyway, all right, I misspoke. What I'm looking for is, all right, which students completed the task correctly? All right, we're looking at the cases of diet soda for food distribution to shoot. So here's our diet. So which one of these numbers will 3 go into evenly? Well, 3 will go into 27. So 27 is certainly one. Barry. 3 times 9, 9 times 3 is 72. That would be a proportional or equal ratio. 3 will go into 36. 3 times 12, and 8 times 12 is 96. So that is one. And guess what? 3 will go into 51. Okay, 3 times 13, right? So 51 is one. And 13 times 8 threes are 24. Carry the 2, it's 104. So those 3 are the ones. Sometimes you have to pause and take a look at them. Okay. Anyway, let's flip the page and let's take a look at this page. This is your homework for tonight. 1 through 8. What did 0 say to 8? Have a good day.